Hey, it's Whitney from EcoVeganGal.com back for another Eco Vegan Gal Uncensored. This video is all about beauty, and it's probably going to go in a number of different directions, so I'm just going to start talking and see where it takes me. There's so much that I want to say here. I'll start with this. I find it really interesting that there's so much going on when it comes to beauty. There are so many, it's a very confusing, delicate, sensitive subject, and honestly, it can feel so exhausting. I don't know if it's like this for men, but I know it's definitely like this for women. So I know all of you women that are watching this can relate to this. There's so many different aspects of what we consider to be beautiful. There are things that are generally acceptable as being proud of. There are things that we feel like we should be ashamed of. There are things that we like to judge, make fun of, pick apart, praise. And it makes it so challenging. I think that's one of the main reasons it's challenging to be a woman. And maybe it's like this for men too. Maybe men have issues with their images, and I know a lot of men do with their bodies, but I'm not sure if it's quite as strong as it is with women. You know, a woman's either beautiful or pretty or hot, or she's too thin, or she's too heavy, or she's too young, she's too old, or her hair's not the right color, or whatever else is going on. There's just so many different things that we look at in a person to pick apart. And then there are people that believe that everybody's beautiful, and then there are people that believe that only some people are. There are people that I don't know, feel proud of their beauty, others that feel ashamed of it or embarrassed by it or something. It's really interesting. For me, well, here's one other thing I want to say is it's also very fascinating how we perceive each other. And I think in my last video, when I talked about that Dove campaign that I shared on my Facebook, I think that's why I was really excited about that video, because the point is, despite all the flaws in that video, which we could all talk about, whether it's the company itself or the lack of diversity, or the fact that they're focusing so much on beauty, something really deep there that I wanted to share, which is why I posted it, was that so many of us judge ourselves so much more than other people judge us. And I know it's a personal goal of my own to really focus on that more in my life and not allow it to rule me quite as much. What triggered that for me today was a couple of things. One, I was with a friend today, and we saw a photo that was taken of us at an event. And we both, of course, looked at the photo and then looked at ourselves, and we immediately thought that the other one looked better than another. And not on a superficial level. I think everyone, that's a very common thing. Oh, you look so great in this, and I look horrible. It wasn't that sort of thing. I think both of us legitimately thought that the other one looked better. And so I was thinking this internally about myself. I was like, oh God, I don't look that good, but she looks good. And then suddenly she verbally said the exact opposite to me. She's like, I look horrible, but you look great in this photo. And she honestly meant it. And I was just suddenly like snapped in my head. Wow, how fascinating, that I can't even see how somebody else perceives me. And I mean, I guess it's just the way life is, but there is also something really odd about that. Why is it that we judge ourselves so much strongly than somebody else? Why is it that we can't see ourselves in the eyes of somebody else? And we try very hard too, but I think that we try in almost the wrong ways. I think that we get worried that other people are going to pick up on us, and maybe it's almost a defense of ours to immediately look at our flaws and focus on our flaws, because if we notice them first, it won't hurt so bad if somebody else notices them. Is that the reason? I don't know. I don't know. But, you know, it's really exhausting. It's really exhausting. Now, this all started today, too, for me because I did a photo shoot today. About 2 years ago, I started modeling casually. And I'm very hesitant to use the word modeling, but I guess what else do you call it? And so I guess we can move into that part. I'm so hesitant. It's a really hard thing for me to talk about. But I want to talk about it because it is hard. So, to summarize this as quickly as I can, what goes on for me is that I feel a lot of nervousness to do things that are focused on my image. But on the other hand, so much of my work has become about my image. And it scares me a lot. It scares me because I've never wanted to be the type of woman that, I don't know, uses beauty, or I don't know how to put it in words, I guess. I wanted to be known for my abilities, my skills, my talents, my mind. Those are the things that I always valued so much in my life and worked really hard to have. You know, I wanted to be just a talented person. I've always felt, I guess, resentful, for lack of a better word, of women that just use their beauty and flaunt it. I think part of that resentment was almost a little bit of jealousy, though, for a long time. And that's what kind of got me into this whole modeling thing that I started doing a couple years ago. I think, so it actually has a big history for me, and maybe some of you can relate to this. When I was 10 years old, actually when I was less than 10, I was probably 7 or 8, my mom's best friend was a model, and she took some photos of me. She put all this makeup on my face. I don't remember what the purpose was she just having fun, or there was a point where she was trying to get me into acting because I was starting to have an interest in that when I was younger. I think that maybe is why she took the photos of me. And I remember she took these photos of me, and I felt this energy around them, around seeing myself made up, seeing myself posing, and there was something that ignited in me at this very young age. And I started to get interested in being in front of the camera, and I'm to this day, I'm still trying to connect with exactly why. But the same woman also told me that I wasn't going to be able to act unless I lost weight, because she measured my hips, and my hips were a little bigger than they should have been at 10 years old. I've always had curvy hips. I've always had a little bit of a curvier body. And so from 10 years old until this very day, I've been very self-conscious about my hips and my stomach. And whatever it is about me, that's always my trouble area. I know it's for a lot of women, but for a lot of women, it's also not. I know my sister is one of those people that just naturally has a flat stomach and no hips. I don't know how it's possible. Someone you're related to can have a completely different body. So for the majority of my life, I have focused on my hips and my stomach, and starting at age 10, I started to believe that because I was curvy in that way, that I would not be able to act unless I lost weight. And so at 10 years old, I started to get interested in dieting and exercising, and found a lot of trouble with it, which I've struggled with my entire life, those two areas. And I think at some point I just started to give up. I started to believe that I wasn't the right body type for modeling or acting, and I didn't pursue it. So I started to focus in on other things. I also, a million other things that women deal with, breast size and hair color and height, all these things, and got it into my head over the years that I wasn't hot, and I wasn't that, I don't know. I think to an extent I recognized that I looked good, but not good enough. I think that was it, because that's what I was literally told. And this led to all sorts of self-conscious things, and it also led to me focusing more on my mind instead of my body. And for that, I'm actually very thankful. Sometimes I think, all right, well, it was probably really good that I didn't feel like people were paying a lot of attention to me because of my body or my appearance. I always felt very overlooked, so I had to compensate with that by, being really good with movie making, for example, and being, good in all the other subjects in school, and being smart, being talented. But I was always terrified of being an actress or doing anything in front of the camera because I just didn't feel like I fit in, and I was embarrassed. I felt like people would make fun of me. I felt like people would just, I would feel out of place or something. And so I shied away from that for a long time until I started doing these YouTube videos. And even then, didn't feel good about it. So it's really interesting how at a young age, just a couple people, even one person, which I think it was just that one person, that told me I didn't look right, and that had the domino effect up until this day. However, 2 years ago, I decided that I didn't want to believe in that anymore. I had proven myself as a smart person. I had proven myself as a talented woman, and I wanted to be recognized for being in front of the camera, because I recognized about 2 years ago that I really do love being in front of the camera for a number of reasons. I feel like that's how I want to get my message across. I want to make videos. I also enjoy having my photo taken. Actually, at the time, 2 years ago, before I started doing all of this, I recognized that I didn't really have any photos of myself, and I was starting to have reasons for it. And so I asked a photographer friend to take photos of me, and as soon as we started doing these photos, at first it was really awkward for me. It was really uncomfortable. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, how do I smile? What do I do with my body, my hands? I don't know. And luckily, some of the photos came out well, and well enough that it was this trigger in my head. 10 years old, or 8, however old I was when those first photos were taken of me, I thought, oh, I really like this. So I started modeling. I moved to San Francisco, where it's an amazing place for amateur models because the photographers up there are really amazing, really nice people, really down to earth. They just want to make art. They're not in it for the money. They're not in it for the fame. The photographers in San Francisco are there because they love it, for the passion. So I was doing photo shoots all the time, and I went from someone that was just casually interested in it to someone that felt really confident in front of the camera. I was starting to get paid for it. I built this great portfolio. People were asking me. It was awesome. And this trigger one after another. And I became super confident about modeling. And I'm still curvy. I still have hips, and I don't have a flat stomach, and I still have thighs. Or, not perfectly thin thighs, and I'm still not the perfect model height, but people wanted to work with me, and I was able to learn how to do my makeup and my hair and wear the right clothes and do the right poses and understand lighting, and it just became something that I loved. And that's what brought me to this opportunity today. I made friends with photographers, and now people occasionally ask me to do photo shoots. And now I get to do photo shoots that are related to environmental and health issues. It's a dream come true. It helped me become more confident in front of the video camera. If you noticed, my appearance has changed too. I know how to do my hair now and my makeup so I can look better in front of the video camera. This makeup is professionally done today, though. And it's changed everything for me, but it's also brought along some new challenges. So that what I've struggled with now, which is really interesting, is that there's a certain amount of shame in it. I've literally been approached by close friends who have expressed concern because they feel like I'm doing photos just for attention. And people tell me I look too thin on camera, which was mind-blowing because I'd always thought that I look too big on camera. I also struggle with issues of seeing photos of myself after photo shoots that I'll start honing in on those particular traits of mine and judging myself a lot for all sorts of things. For instance, my eyes are 2 different sizes. You can see it right now. Like, oh my God, thank God for Photoshop. And I still have a lot of concerns around my hips and my stomach. That's one of my biggest goals, is to start to, I wish of all things that I could, I don't know. I would love for my mind and my body to match up and feel good about each other. Very much. And I'm sure that all of you can understand that. It's a sad thing, you know. It's a really interesting thing. So I have a couple points here. One is, I guess, is all my videos is just sharing thoughts and feelings and knowing that you all understand it to an extent. 2, a huge point I want to make here is that we need to keep going after things that we love, despite things that other people say and despite our fears. The fact that at 8 or 10 years old, how can you blame a girl? Of course I'm going to listen to an older woman who tells me that I'm not the right shape. I didn't know any better. It took me until like 2 years ago to recognize that's not what really mattered, right? I could still do work, and despite not having the perfect body. So a huge thing I want to say in this video is that you have to go after things, and you have to be confident about it. And you have to understand that confidence comes with time. A lot of times you have to fake it till you make it, and that's exactly what I did. I went on these photo shoots in San Francisco, and I was working with some really talented photographers, many of which shot celebrities, and they were treating me like I deserved to be there. I convinced them that I deserved to be there. I convinced them to pay me sometimes, and I don't know how I got there. I don't know, but I just made it up and I just did it, and the confidence came with that. And I'm still working on it, but it gets easier and easier each time. So if it doesn't have anything to do with modeling, really. It's just that if there's something that you want to do, just do it and be confident about it and go for it, and it'll happen. The other point is that I don't really have advice for this because I'm still struggling with it, but I think that we have to stop being ashamed of ourselves. We have to stop being ashamed of ourselves whether we're celebrating our beauty or we're not. I think most women do not celebrate their beauty. They're so focused on their flaws. But on the other hand, it's also we feel shame and guilt for celebrating our beauty, for taking pictures of ourselves or posting pictures of ourselves or doing things like that. A lot of women are made fun of for doing things like that, and I know coming from myself, it's really harmful. It's hurt me a lot, the way people have judged me at times. And it's made me recognize that I want to do anything that I can to stop judging women, no matter what they look like, no matter what they're doing. Because you cannot understand someone based on photos that they post online or videos that they post online. You have no idea what their internal struggles are, their motivations, how far they've come. I think that we need to celebrate ourselves more often and celebrate other people. Stop judging ourselves and stop judging other people, and stop focusing on our own flaws, other people's flaws. Stop feeling jealous. Recognize that if we do feel jealous, it's insecurity. If we do feel judgmental, it's probably insecurity. So if you feel frustrated with somebody else who's doing stuff, celebrating themselves in whatever way, maybe you should go out and try it yourself. Maybe you just don't have the own courage to do it. And I want to tell you right now that all of you have the ability and the looks to do it. My time's up.